RDTDaily.com presents a Tarabuster with comedian Tara Devlin.
All right, everybody, I hope you can hear me. Last night I started the show and nobody could hear me. So I think, hopefully, I'm trying to check myself so I don't go too far into it. And let me see. Oh, yeah. Okay, well, we meet here every... Okay, I hear the music. Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you, Jim. I'm waiting for my producers in the chat room for the feedback, but there's a 10-second delay. So, all right. Thank you, Jim. Thank you for your super chat right out of the gate. I see it's a very sparse-looking chat room right now. Hopefully more people will show up. I said I was going to take attendance tonight, and I meant it. No, whatever. It's probably because it's Labor Day. I forgot that it was a holiday coming up. And, yeah, because I never take a damn day off. That's probably why. And I see your chat there. You saw Staten Islanders protesting immigrants? I did not see that. Let me look this up. I'm not surprised either. This is what they do. And it's really, I mean, it's so, aren't they embarrassed for themselves? You know, you get out of bed in the morning and you go and protest vulnerable and desperate people. That's what you're doing. Because you were born in a country that's not a failed state yet. Maybe, the next life, if there really is karma, they'd, and there is a next life, which I won't know until I get there. But maybe there is some accountability for these people where they have to, put themselves in the shoes of somebody who has to pick up everything that they own, pick up the clothes on their back. That's it. And their children or their child or their elderly mother and cross a desert to try to escape the failed states we helped create and to find a life, live. Nothing, no one appreciates freedom more than somebody who had to risk everything to obtain it. And we would be better off as a country if we treated people, with dignity and respect. If we understood that these are the kind of people we want in our country, that would actually appreciate the country. I mean, wouldn't you, if you were in their boat, if you were in that position, and you were being pushed from your native land, because they're not leaving because everything's going great over there. They're leaving because they're under threat in some form. So that's why. I mean, would you pick up your life and cross a desert to go to an unknown land where you kind of, I'm sure they've heard rumors about the Trumpanzees, that they're not going to be treated or greeted with open arms half the time, and just how they put everything on the line to try to save their lives, and then they get greeted by these incredibly stupid, these ignorant racists, frankly, on Staten Island, who should be ashamed of themselves if they had any shred of humanity. Now I grew up on Staten Island. I know these people. They should be, and trust me, they should be embarrassed for themselves. It's the same guy that we played. I mean, he's a typical Staten Islander, that guy. That, I can't remember his name now. That stupid artist, a so-called artist. He draws or paints or whatever the fuck he does. These really, basic, gaudy, not very inventive or not very interesting paintings of eagles and stars and friggin' like an eagle with a muscle. Fucking stupid babyish shit that they all eat up because that's what they think art is. It's like the Nazis. What the Nazis did with art. They had all, there was a big controversy with the Nazis. What was art? What was acceptable art? And of course, all of whatever they turned into art, whatever they thought art was, it was. Then there was degenerate art. That was any art that was done by Jewish people or some ostracized and vilified group, or a art that made you think about putting yourself into somebody else's shoes. The only acceptable form of art was incredibly low, common denominator art, or whatever, sculpture that had like a woman holding a baby and a man looking off into the distance with a plow in his hand, or like all the fucking propaganda everywhere. And that's what Republicans think art is too. They hate art. They hate books. I was one of the other stories I had under, in the back of my mind last night was like how Texas is removing libraries from their schools and replacing it with discipline centers. I mean, you couldn't make it up. You could not write it and think you were living in a free country. Right? Let me see. Let me look this up. Texas libraries. Libraries. What's that, Mommy? It's a place where you get disciplined? Where you learn that you should never, ever put yourself in the shoes of anyone else. And then if you are expected to, if somebody tries to give you a perspective from someone else's point of view, that's being infringed upon. That's the tyranny of the minority. You should feel, why should you feel bad, Johnny, little baby, Johnny? Oh my God, let me see. Yeah, I'm not even kidding here. I'm not kidding. I wish I was. Houston's library plan to convert some school libraries into discipline centers. Where do we live? Anybody? Freedom! We live in the land of the free, the home of the brave. So brave they can't read a book that has a gay in it, or they get very triggered. So free, so brave. So brave. These assholes, they put on their shoes. They put their pants. They probably put their shoes on first, then they put their pants on, and they go out to abuse immigrants who are, just trying to seek a life. And if they don't qualify for asylum, they get to go bye-bye. Leave it up to the courts, that's the whole thing, the part of that's what we did after World War II. So, these are the laws we wrote, not just for ourselves, but internationally, we helped write these laws where you could present yourself at the border and seek asylum, and then you get your day in court. And of course, Republicans, who are disgusting inherently, they give them, they were all complaining because, like, the court dates weren't happening immediately, and then the people were being allowed to go and, live in a shelter or something for a couple of weeks. And they would say, oh, that's catch and release. And then they would be released into their beautiful shithole communities where because they have Republican representatives. And meanwhile, here in reality, the fact is 99% of the asylum seekers made their court dates. Republicans it's a cottage industry for them to be outraged by things that don't happen. That's another thing that they are famous for. And it's so tedious, They're famous for being outraged about absolute, utter nonsense, bullshit that isn't happening, that doesn't exist. But the things that are actually happening that we do need to address, they refuse to acknowledge the existence of those things. They call those things hoaxes. You see, it's like, I can't take it. I can't take having to deal with them as if they're serious people. And they are not. They really are not. I don't know. What do you think? You guys in the chat will let me know. Where is that? Wait, so I was looking up the Staten Island. I saw it. Staten Island. Fucking Staten Island. Leave it to Staten Island, Leave it to them. You never hear anything good. You never hear them, they're always doing something stupid. Protests erupt in Staten Island over new migrant shelter as one man drops his pants and shows stars and stripes underwear. Congratulations, Staten Island. You see, don't you have any decency? No. Don't you have any dignity? No. A man drops his pants and shows stars and stripes underwear. For what point? Like, all you gotta do, asshole, is stay home. Do something productive. Go volunteer somewhere. Volunteer at a shelter. Go clean the streets. Sweep the fucking streets. Clean up your apartment, you pig. Take a bath. Something. Staten Islanders, do something to improve yourselves. Read a book. Go to a library before they close them. If you don't want to do it, go take a walk. Go to an animal shelter if you can't deal with people. There are a lot of animals there. They need dogs in cages. Walk them. Do something productive with your limited lifespan. But they don't. This is what they do. They put on their pants. They put on their shoes. They get in their stupid working jalopies and go to harass the most vulnerable among us, the desperate, the unconnected, right? It's so vile. And then this asshole drops his pants and shows his stars and stripes underwear. For what? You disgrace the stars and stripes. This is a guy that's they're all about the flag because they don't have any concept of what the substance of the flag is, right? What it means, what it's supposed to be all about. They're about the show, the performance of patriotism. because the substance of patriotism, the action, is above their heads. So they are all about, they hate people burning the flags, but this guy's leaving skid marks on the flag. He's putting his filthy, stinking balls against the flag. They're filth. And showing it to these vulnerable people who are probably like confused. What is happening here? One man on Staten Island fought against a large group of protesters who were gathered to oppose the opening of a new migrant shelter by dropping his pants to reveal the American flag on his underwear. Hundreds. This is what they are, you see. You can't get 100 people on Staten Island to come out and do anything decent, but they come out to harass migrants. Demonstrators turned up to rally against the use of the shuttered St. John's Villa Academy. That's where I went to school there for 2 years. That's a whole other story. And then I went to public school. That's a whole other story. As a 300-bed makeshift shelter for some of the thousands of asylum seekers who have been shuttled from the border of New York. Excuse me. Why can't I talk? Shuttled from the border to New York City. In a video posted by Freedom News, everybody, it's all about freedom. They hate freedom. They think freedom is here it is. Here it is. Wow. I got to show you this. They think freedom is a zero-sum game. There's only a limited amount. Wow. They really should be ashamed if they had the capacity to feel shame. You see these people? Congratulations. Why do I gotta watch this ad now? Oh, wait, hold on a second. I have it exactly backwards. This guy with the leave it to Staten Island to do everything wrong. This Staten Island asshole is showing his patriotic underwear to people upset about. So he's counter-protesting the protesters by showing his underwear like an asshole and making us all look like dicks. Come on. You see what I'm saying? These people need help. They all do. Even the one who is attempting to act normal. Why? Why are you pulling your pants down? I hate when that happens. When those who are attempting to be on the right side of an issue completely play into their hands, the hands of these morons. Because, the other thing is, I guess it must be for a Staten Islander if you're protesting the protesters, I don't know what the whole backstory of this guy, but maybe there's some kind of social contagion going on where you're around so many people who don't know how to behave all the time. And that's how you think you're supposed to behave, because this is what Trumpanzees do. They just act like, they're just bullies, and they do stupid things, and we're looking at all of the morons being carted off to jail now. Screaming Trump won as they're being carted off. Hold on, we'll be right back. And then it says the incident near blows or comes to blows or something like that. As some shoving takes place, ultimately violence was avoided. Wow, look at these people. Look at these fucking people. I'm so glad I got out of there. Oh my God. Who's this? Oh my Jesus. A man led the hundreds of protesters in a chant of "Save our children." What are you doing? Save our children. Save our children from this. From this show of indecency and inhumanity. Save our children? Why don't you save our children by taking them to, taking them to some, to New York Cares, some volunteer place? What are you doing? What kind of an example is this for the children? You tell the children that you get out of bed, you gather with your fellow idiots to harass people who are terrified and alone in a country that's not their own, and they're hoping desperately that they can make something of themselves here, that they could stay because the alternative is far too terrifying. That's why they're here. Oh, I hate these people. Oh, my God. New York City Mayor Eric Adams must call on Joe Biden to close the border. Shut up. Shut up. All of you. And just go. Oh, of course, no effing way. Mayor Adams is a dork. That's one of the signs. Very scintillating political discourse going on Staten Island. Look at all the white faces, too. Every single face, white. Some white, pasty-faced idiot who was born here, lucky enough to be born here. They don't have to pick up their shit and cross a desert. Try to get some freedom. Americans over migrants. Oh, yeah, sure. Sure, bitch. This is the one that's sitting drinking our tears half the time, right? This bitch won't even put a piece of cloth on her face to save a single other American, right? She's one of the ones that talk about your health, your problem, right? But, Americans over migrants when it's convenient. When she means Americans, she means white people. That's it. White people. Now, you better believe if these were Norwegians, you think that there'd be a racist rally against it? Of course not. Oh, Curtis Lewa. Arrested because he threw a punch? Now, this looks like this is not Staten Island. This is New York City. Oh, Jesus, help me. Oh, Jesus, take the wheel. When will Jesus take the wheel? This is ginger ale. I actually am not feeling great tonight. I think I have a bit of a migraine or something. So I feel a little nauseous. That's why I'm not drinking my coffee. Yeah, is there something in the water? Jim asks in Staten Island. Well, it's social contagion. That's what it is. A lot of people are not that smart in general, as we know. So they're easily influenced. And Staten Island is a very insular place. There's people there that don't ever leave Staten Island. They stay in their little neighborhoods. They live and die there. And they watch Fox News all the time. They all influence each other. So that's that's why it's the only Republican borough. Of course, normal people are there too. But yeah, it's a lot of right wingers there. But it's because of the social contagion. It is. People are easily led. That's why we have red states and blue states. You know what I mean? It's not that, we know what happens is, though, a lot of times, not all the time, of course, when normal people are in a red state, a lot of times, they leave. They can't take it anymore. So they go to California, they go to New York, they want to, whatever. That's why you have a lot more, solidly blue states, or they go to the cities where especially where you'll find more diversity, more acceptance for difference, and less stupidity in general. And I live in Queens, it is the most culturally diverse borough. Well, they call it the world's borough. It's the most. Well, is it Astoria now, or well, Queens in general? I don't know about the last census, but one of the recent censuses said that I can't remember now. Jackson Heights or wherever, whatever. Queens is the most culturally diverse neighborhood or place in the country. And it's true. There's so many communities here. Irish, Lithuanian, you'll find every culture here. And it's not a bad thing. It's actually kind of cool and fun and different. And you learn a lot. You meet people from all over the world. So when you're a moron here and you're a racist, you just don't have a lot of outlets. And most people, it's not accepted. You start talking that shit, people are like, are you kidding me? But that's what happens on Staten Island. I told you stories about people that I've encountered. Like my friend's husband. When he said, "Oh, you live in Queens? Lot of N-words out there, right?" Okay. That's it. And I was like, "What?" I was shocked. I was just like, what year is this? And I said to him, "This is how you talk? Are you kidding me?" And, my friend was like, like embarrassed. But that's who they are. A lot of N-words out there. Right? Like, I'm going to be, like, that's what he expects from another white person. Because that's all you encounter. Because, you just talk like that. So when he sees a white person, he's like, "Oh, well, yeah, a lot of N-words, right?" But he didn't say N-words. And I'm not talking about 25 years ago this happened. You know what I mean? This is who they are. How do you talk like that? How do you behave like that? And because I'm white, I'm as white as Casper the Ghost, actually, pigment-wise. He thinks I'll be like, "Yeah, sure are." I mean, it shows a very weak mind, a very stupid mind, and there's the studies to back it up that conservatives, well, let's put it this way, people who, I'm putting the cart before the horse, the low IQ, low effort thinkers are attracted to political conservatism and racism. And racism and low IQ go hand in hand. And let me tell you, my friend's husband is not exactly a Rhodes Scholar. No intellectual curiosity going on. All right. So there you go. Turning libraries into discipline centers in Texas. Now, how's that going to work out for the future of the country? One of the country's largest districts is turning school libraries into discipline rooms. Where do we live? If I heard this coming out of Afghanistan, or when the Taliban took over, I would not be surprised. School librarians and media specialists at 28 of Houston's independent school districts and 274 campuses will not be returning to their former jobs this year. Why can't I talk? Because their libraries are being turned to discipline rooms. Let's see. Houston Superintendent Mike Miles was appointed in June by the Texas Education Agency because he's a charter school scumbag. And that's all. Republicans are nothing but ideologues who are inflicting their view of the world on a country that is trying to be a liberal, constitutionally limited democratic republic, a modern nation, all those things we're trying to be. The only thing standing in our way are right-wingers. And the only thing that stands in the way, they're the only thing that stands in the way all over the world. Except here, they got a foothold. So these are ideologues, and they don't want it any other way. They don't want to hear it, They're not trying to compromise. So they don't believe in government. They believe in selfishness. They believe in serfdom. Serfdom for you and everything else for them. So, yeah, the affected libraries are all in 3 historically poor performing high schools, the District West website says, so whatever. Jesus, it's just incredible. Attempts to contact the Houston district for more information were unsuccessful. Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner condemned the plan, saying you cannot have a system where you're closing libraries for some schools in certain neighborhoods while more affluent neighborhood schools have libraries that are open and stocked with books. It's crazy. Well, yeah, this is where we live. And they keep voting Republican too, right? The performance artists who are, well, that's what's happening. See, the performance artists get fanned out all over the country. They're from sea to shining sea. And while the rest of the Republicans concentrate money and wealth in the hands of a few, while the performance artists put on a show. They put on the outrage show for the morons, like the idiots on Staten Island. They're outraged. That's all they know is outrage. You see? They would never meet, like, for example, they meet those migrants with compassion or understanding. You know what I mean? They come out with anger at these people. What are they gonna do? What are the migrants gonna do? They're terrified. But they don't care. These bastards. And of course, you want to. If we went into that crowd and we interviewed them, what do you think they would say? They'd all talk about Jesus. Are you a Christian? Of course. Of course, they're Christian. And Staten Island is, you're either Irish or you're Italian, for the most part. Everybody I knew on Staten Island was either Irish or Italian. Some were Irish and Italian, you know? So, everybody I knew growing up was either Irish or Italian. And, you know, I can't even think. Did I know any Jewish kids? No, not really. Everybody was Christian in some form, mostly Catholic. And, yeah, trying to think. I had 0 black friends. There was no black kids in any of my classes growing up. No, not at all. Not a one. Not a one. I don't know what it's like now. I doubt it's any much different. There was no black kids, no Jewish kid, nobody different. Everybody was either Christian, Irish, or Italian. And I didn't even know, like, there was any other thing. Like, you could be anything else. It was sort of like with Chinese food when I was growing up. My father would get Chinese food, and it was always chicken chow mein. And when I got older and I went to a Chinese restaurant on my own, and I saw there was an entire menu. That's what it's like for these right-wingers. You understand? And I couldn't believe it. I was like, look, there's like so many other choices here. It's not just chicken chow mein. I thought that Chinese food was chicken chow mein. It's sort of like pizza is pizza and Chinese food is chicken chow mein. I didn't know there were all different things. And it's not like I went into the Chinese restaurant. I was like, what is this? And I rejected it. Like, fake news. This is woke. I'm out of here. I can't take it. It's choice paralysis. I can't help. I can't handle it. It's a plot. It's a hoax. Too many. I was like, holy shit, I'll have this, I'll try that, I want this, you know? It was like it was like the window to Oz opened up, and then suddenly everything was in Technicolor. That's what they live in, the black and white world, right-wingers. Incredible. Kathy says, I always thought prejudices stem from lack of knowledge of others. No excuse, but maybe a reason why people are like that. They don't know any better, as they learn it from their elders, the family, etc. It's true. I guess, yeah, it's true. See, my father was kind of racist growing up. Not 100%. Well, yeah, I mean, kinda. He wasn't like Archie Bunker, but you know, he said racist things because he would say, I think I told you, you know, I was in school and I didn't get I used to get a lot of scholarships. All right. I'm not bragging, but whatever. And, anyway, I didn't get some scholarship, half a scholarship or something. I don't know. And my father said, that's because your skin is white. That's what he would say, like shit like that. He wasn't like dropping the N-word, but, you know, he was listening to Rush Limbaugh. But so even though this was my environment, I knew like he was fucked up. You know what I mean? I don't know. Some people, not that I'm trying to think. Some people are just not, they're just fearful. They're inherently fearful. And when being exposed to other people, I don't know. It wasn't something that made me afraid, I don't know. I was always interested in finding it. To me, it was curiosity. I liked learning about things and learning about the big, amazing, incredible world that we'll never learn everything about. That's why I wish I had another 100 years to live. But, oh well. Anyway, I don't know. They should be embarrassed. That's it. Aren't they embarrassed? Here's an example of Republicans wasting our time with performance.
Sit with liberals that want to control every damn aspect of your life. Biden came in, one of the first things they wanted to do was ban gas stoves. New York State has now done that for new construction. They're trying to go after and regulate ceiling fans. I got to tell you, it's hot in Texas. We don't want to get rid of our ceiling fans. And now these idiots have come out and said, drink 2 beers a week. That's their guideline. Well, I got to tell you, if they want us to drink 2 beers a week, frankly, they can kiss my ass.
Oh, so tough, Ted Cruz. First of all, no one is banning or telling them to drink 2 beers a week. I'll be right back. Look at that face. Somebody has to I need to take this image right here and feed it into the AI and turn it into a baby bottle. It's a perfect shot. But that's Ted Cruz, because what else does he have? When his community needs him, he fucks off to Cancun. He's out of there. His ass is out of there. You see, there is no whatever he's talking about. This is performance art. There's no guidelines. You know how we have guidelines, or they used to have like the food pyramid, or according to Ted Cruz and Republicans, if anybody says anything, if the government says, studies have shown that you should maybe not eat shit all day. You should not eat McDonald's every fucking night. Try to stay away from fried food or whatever. If you're trying to lose weight, if you try to exercise, don't eat all that shit that they sell you at the Trumpanzee Nuremberg rallies. Even if it has Trump's ass on it, you don't want to lick it. I know it's difficult, but to control yourselves. But there's no this is nothing. It's not a thing. We do have things that need to be addressed, but not this. He rages against this non-existent thing. This is from Cron.com. It says Ted Cruz rages against the non-existent Biden beer limit. And this is, one example. This is today's example of Ted Cruz wasting everyone's time. Who votes for this fucking guy? Who votes for him? That's what always gets me, It's not... Ted Cruz is a vile scum, waste of life, waste of human DNA. He's a disgraceful lick-spittle that has no dignity, has no decency. He's useless. He's not... he really is. Tell me what I'm saying that isn't true. He has one job, but then when a crisis hits, he fucks off to Cancun. He leaves everybody behind. That's the Republican way. Save your own skin. He leaves his dog behind. That's what he did. He left his dog in the freezing home. Oh well, hope you're doing all right. Hope you survive. I'll be back. I'm going to Cancun. They couldn't even. Why didn't you take the dog? How do you leave your dog behind in a freezing, no heat house and fuck off to Cancun with your brats? Because, you don't want to teach them responsibility. The party of personal responsibility doesn't want to teach their children, who they're always crying about the children, save the children, but don't want to teach the children that you don't leave your animal in a freezing house and fuck off to Cancun in the middle of a crisis. Seriously. Much less you don't leave your constituents when you're the senator. And he's like, well, what was I going to do? And then he blamed it on his kids. I was just being a good dad. No, you weren't. Like, you think those two kids are like, Daddy, please, we can't go to Cancun without you. You're the funnest dad ever. You're the best Cancun partner. They don't want you there. When he walks in the room, they're like, get out. Especially they're getting older. They don't want him around. Have you seen the video when his children were young, and his daughter, he was trying to kiss his daughter for the camera, like, oh, I love my kids, and the daughter was like, ew, get away from me, fuck off, Cancun cruise. She was like, go, like he had cooties. He's filth. Ugh. Beer limit. What is it? And then he has to put on this show with these morons. And you see, like, this is what they are. All of them. Beer belly, big fat guts, with all doing this stupid performance in unison. Put on your hat. You're an everyman, Ted, right? Get all these white idiots to line up behind you. And when you drink, everybody drinks in unison to protest something that isn't happening. If that isn't the perfect tableau of Republicanism, I don't know what is it, right? I mean, everything that we've been witnessing, the freaks on Staten Island, these freaks, and their Ted Cruz that they keep, inflicting on themselves. Why? That's what's so baffling to me. Why? I mean, don't you have any self-respect? I guess not. Of course not. You vote for Ted Cruz? That says it all. That you have no self-respect. That you don't want success. That you don't expect anybody who actually knows what he's doing. You just have this podcaster sitting there putting on a show. Meanwhile, Biden's doing actual things, lowering drug prices, helping relieve student loan debt, jobs, creating jobs, more jobs in 2 years than any other administration in 4 years. Bringing back manufacturing. We're finally manufacturing chips here in the country. The Infrastructure Reduction Act and the not Inflation Reduction Act, the infrastructure bill, the infrastructure reduction. That's what's been going on for 50 goddamn years. But finally, Infrastructure Week came to fruition. But everywhere you look, I mean, even speaking of the infrastructure thing, which includes green energy, green jobs. What? Ted Cruz is 52? No way. He looks so much older. Is he really? Oh my God. He looks so much older than 52, doesn't he? Yeah, lowest unemployment since the 1960s. Thank you. Thank you, Kathy, on the chat. And everywhere you look, Republicans are standing in the way. They're just today. Because of this illegitimate, filthy fascist, indecent, and corrupt Supreme Court that said that Biden's student loan forgiveness was unconstitutional for some reason, because they just make shit up. They pull it out of their ass. And Republicans, so they're trying different ways to offer relief to student loans, which is crushing, and it's also stifling the it's stifling the economy, it's stifling the future, and Republicans are already upset. In fact, I saw something on what do you call it, on MSNBC, where they were talking about this latest what is it called? The student, I'm looking it up. It's called the SAVE Act. And it is the Student Aid Virtual Environment Plan, which is the most affordable student loan repayment plan ever to lower monthly payments for millions of borrowers. The plan is designed to cut many borrowers' monthly payments to zero, save other borrowers, I can't say that word, around $1,000 a year, and prevent balances from ballooning over time. The SAVE plan is a new form of income-driven repayment plan that the Department of Education says will phase out the current plan. Hold on. The Department of Education says it will phase out the current revised pay-as-you-earn plan and this plan eliminates 100% of the remaining interest for both subsidized and unsubsidized loans after scheduled payment is made. If you make your monthly payment, you could still be eligible, blah, blah, blah. The SAVE plan is intended to be more generous than prior options, particularly for those with undergraduate debt. With the SAVE plan, any accrued but unpaid interest relative to the calculated payments gets waived and disappears. Okay, so already some people are waking up this morning, or they woke up this morning and they checked their student loan balance and it was zero because of this plan, and that's a big deal. That's a life-changing big deal for people, because now they can get established. Now that money can go to other things like a home, a mortgage. They could enjoy their lives a little more. There's some breathing room. If they have children, they could, what went on in the pandemic, the extra whatever, the $300, the child income tax credit that people get, the monthly child. I can't remember what it was called now. Somebody on the chat will remind me. And we talked about that, how it was a lifesaver for so many Americans, and these filthy fascists took it away. They just took it away. Well, not just, it wasn't just the Republicans, also Joe Manchin. He's an effective Republican anyway. But they just took it away. One woman, yes, the child tax credit. Thank you, Jim. She used her child tax credit to pay for her son's karate lessons, things like that. And then also somebody else was paying for their child to take music lessons. You know, things that you would think we would like kids to be able to cultivate these skills, because it makes them a more well-rounded human being, helps their brains develop, helps them become adults who contribute to society in a diverse and interesting world that we live in. Don't you want people who are, have some unique skills and can fucking play a piano? God. Yep, those things enrich our children, as Winston says. But Republicans are like, oh, that's your health, your problem. And then, of course, you have the Staten Island assholes. Americans over, everyone else. Bullshit. These are the same people who would say, oh, well, not my problem. They don't seem to get it. Of course, whatever they get is earned and they deserve it, because half of them they're all on all sorts of public assistance. I'm telling you. I'm talking about these Staten Islanders now that I know personally. Of course, this is anecdotal, but they are all on. I told you, this is one woman who she hates. She's a big Trumpanzee. I know her from my friend who I grew up in Staten Island, and the people that I grew up next door to, they still live there. Now they're 80 years old, but I still keep in touch with them. They're like my second parents, and they're normal people. That's probably why I stay in touch with them. Couldn't handle it otherwise if they were Trumpanzees, because that's what Trump does. That's what Republicans do. They break up families, they break up friendships. Oh, I have something in my teeth. So, what? Happy birthday, Winston. I'll sing you a song in a second. And so she was telling me, well, one of her friends, was a big Trumpanzee, and she just says, I can't get into it with her. I can't take it. She's so annoying. And with the stupid Trump, and she's always talking about Biden and Hunter Biden. I mean, it's like they're on a, their programs, because before it was Hunter Biden, it was Obamacare, right? It was death panels. It was whatever they're being told. If Ted Cruz had his way, if that took off, it would be beers. They're telling us to drink 2 beers. When we want to, I want them to drink it all. Drink everything. Drink every day. Eat as much crappy food. I want you to be as unhealthy as you are. You understand? Because I want, make room. Darwin, take the wheel. And so, anyway, as my friend was saying, that, the end of this story. Not only is this woman who hates everything, hates welfare, she's on effing public. She has a daughter who is developmentally disabled. I don't know in what way, but she's on Social Security disability. I mean, we know these stories. It's a goddamn cliche. They take Social Security disability and everybody else is a taker. You know, they deserve it. But never, ever let them say thank you. Because if it was up to right-wingers, they wouldn't even have that. They'd be on the streets. And I told you about the guy I know from, the community of recovering people, right? He's living with HIV because he was an IV drug user back in the day, and he's clean. He's in the program or whatever, but he's on disability. That's how he lives. He's on Medicaid. That's how he is alive. He gets his medication courtesy of we the people. And he's the biggest filthy fascist who can't help himself. And I know this is what I can't stand about them. You know, you go to meetings, you just talk about your life, but you got to hear these filthy freaks going on about, you know, they always have to inflict some of their bullshit into their share. Let's say, oh, I'm just sharing about it because it's affecting me. But they can't. They don't know how to behave. You know what I mean? They can't help it. And I can't tell you how many times I got to sit there listening to this guy talk about, oh, liberals. Well, I'm like, you'd be fucking dead, buddy, if not for liberals. I'm so sick of these people. But anyway, because they make us sick. They make the whole country sick. And it's sickening. Yep. What was I talking about? Winston. It's your birthday, Winston? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Winston. Happy birthday to you. Yay! All right. Thank you, Winston, for being born and making the world a better place. It's true. What would we do without you, really? I'm not kidding. Unlike right-wingers, because when they're born, the world's like, oh, shit. Here we go. Right? They bring nothing. They add nothing of value. Anyway, all right. I'm going down many tangent roads tonight and not talking about anything I've planned on talking about, but that's okay. That's how we roll on the Tarabuster. What was I going to tell? Well, I guess I was going to say something about unions because it is Labor Day. And one of the good things, so I guess we could just talk about this. Let me see the time here. Oh. You see, I don't know if you guys know, the new Photoshop has a what do you call it? It has AI in it. So I just want to show you. I took that picture of Ted Cruz and I told the Photoshop to put a binky in his mouth. Let's see. It's not really that great. Didn't really do such a great. Here, that it gives you three. It gives you three options. Where's the other one? I said baby binky. Baby bottle. Let's try again. Let's see what it'll do. This is not very interesting for the people on the audio only feed. So let's see. Baby bottle. Did I say bottle or binky? Baby binky. Takes a minute. Oh, it's not going. Baby Binky. Baby. We'll just do this and I'll get back to the other things. Hold on a second. Binky. Try adding feathering or opacity to content to blend into your scene. All right. Is that a Binky? Look at that. And it has it holding. He's holding it. It's pretty incredible. All right. Could be better, but... Right? I think so. So, one of the good things I have hope... Well, one of the ways I have hope for the future is that young people are pretty progressive, right? Like all the things that's why you got to think like this is why Republicans are working their ass off to make to limit libraries, to remove libraries, to cut down on courses that people can take or learn, things that they can learn, African American history, which always pisses me off, to tell you the truth, because isn't African American history just plain old American history? Right? It's just history. It's not African American. Oh, you could focus on a group of people, obviously, but this is why Republicans are just disgusting. It's all American history, the good and the bad. That's all American history. Why don't they just teach, the good parts, or so, according to them? Good American history. Good, what would you call it? Well, it would be babyish American history. It would be infantile history. History for the emotionally unstable and the emotionally immature. That's what it is. Because history is history. It's the history of this country, whether you like it or not. I'm so sick of them. Sick of them trying to, as Ted Cruz is talking about how, liberals are trying to tell us what to do again. Are we really? Tell you, to suggest that you drink 2 beers a week, which is not even a thing. It's not even happening. And no one's forcing you. Right? Even if that was a thing where they said, well, there were other guidelines where they suggested you have, 3 servings of fruits and vegetables. What are you going to do now, Ted Cruz? What are you going to do about that besides poop your diet? Go get some onion rings from McDonald's and show us how. Freedom! Right? They told me to eat a vegetable. If that isn't the epitome of a child having a tantrum, what is? Right? Isn't that what children having tantrums do when you say, you should eat your vegetables, and then the child poops their diapers? No, I don't want it. That's Republicans. That's what we've just witnessed with Ted Cruz, who is 52 years old. I'm older than Ted Cruz, by the way. Can you believe that? That's why I'm in shock. I'm like, that's what 52 looks like now? That looks like shit. Looks a lot like 62. And it looks like a hard living. Yes, ketchup was a vegetable. That's right, Kathy, according to Reagan. So, but here's some good news for Labor Day. Nearly 90% of young people support unions, which is good. And, they're progressive. Yes, the producer is sleeping. So is Francis. Ray and Boudica are in the they're in the bedroom because they were acting out. They were acting crazy. I had to put them in the bedroom. Thank you, Terry. You look 10 years younger. Maybe it's my emotional. I don't know. I don't think it's that, though. Some people just look older. They act older. In my mind, I'm not old. So I think it's a mind thing, too. So, and also, don't smoke. I don't know, whatever. Nearly 90% of young people support unions. So, as labor activity is surging across the country, polling has found that young people are saying they favor unions at overwhelmingly high levels. Support that labor organizers say is unprecedented. According to polling conducted by the GBAO, for the AFL-CIO, a whopping 88% of people under 30 say that they approve of labor unions, while 90% say they approve of strikes. And this is a far higher proportion than other groups, which 69% of those aged 39 to 49 support unions, and 67% of those over 50 saying the same. Support for strikes is at 72%. Well, I mean, these are all high levels of support. That's right. Kathy says, it's the Irish, we feel young, we look young. That could be. You're right. You're right. You're right, girl. I agree. This is an extraordinary supporter of the labor movement. And, yeah, I think that's good. That's all I'm saying. That's some scintillating commentary, I know. That's real good. That is good. But there's been a lot of victories for the labor movement in America recently, and I'm pretty with it, I'm there for it. So, let's see. Recent victories for the labor movement. Well, I guess we'll have to find out on the other side of this break. Damn it. All right, we're back. So let's see. Here's some 30 victories for workers' rights won by organized labor over the years. Of course, we know. I mean, this is why education is important. Those who do not know their history are doomed to repeat, are doomed to lose their rights. And that's why when I was reading these articles about the labor movement and some of the victories that labor that can be attributed to the labor movement, all I kept thinking was, like, everywhere we look, when there is a victory, or if there wherever there are people trying to improve their lives, there are right wingers, Republicans, conservatives standing in the way. And now, because people don't know the history of the labor movement, they take it for granted. Just like the Staten Island morons take their socialist security disability checks for granted and their Medicaid medication for granted. And they sit and complain about liberals while they're literally alive because of liberals. That's why Republicans are able to get away with rolling back progress, like Sarah Huckabee Sanders signing, a hit to child labor. Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders signed a bill in 2023 significantly weakening child labor protections for the state. For years they were, every now and then one of these freaks would talk about we need training wages and things like that with kids. We need kids in the workforce, teaching them responsibility. Training wages. When I was young, I did this, that, and the other thing, and the kids should get to work. But it's always going to be poor kids that have limited options, because Republicans and their paymasters need a large pool of exploitable and desperate workers to exploit. Yeah. Easily exploitable workers. That's what they want. And desperate workers who will not stand up, who will not demand a union because they are afraid, because they're living check to check. They're hanging by a thread. They're grateful for the scraps and the crumbs. So the bill eliminates the state's requirement to verify that children are at least 16 years old before they can receive a job, which weakens official oversight of child labor practices in the state. The new law is part of a push by some Republican-led states to loosen child labor laws, despite the federal officials seeking to crack down on these offenses. Oh, big government is coming for them to roll. We're trying to roll back child labor, and here comes big government, big nanny government, telling us that we can't send our little brats to work. No, they don't want to send their little brats to work. You understand? Sarah Huckabee Sanders' brats are not going to work. It'll be your brats who are not brats. They're probably good kids because you're raising them right. Not like chimpanzees. You're taking your kids to the library. You're taking them to drag queen story hour. You're not taking them to the chimpanzee rally, Nuremberg rally, or you're not taking them to scream at migrants, desperate and afraid migrants who are vulnerable and looking at you confused and frightened, and you're like, freedom. That's who they are, right? So the rollback comes less than a month after the Department of Labor fined a company for employing children as young as 13 to clean razor-sharp saws with caustic chemicals, including at 2 Arkansas meatpacking plants. Could you imagine the stuff of nightmares that goes on in these slaughterhouses? And they're sending kids in there to clean razor-sharp saws and caustic chemicals. It's disgusting. What does that do to a person, to a kid? Around, just don't worry about it, because that damaged person will end up in our communities. That'll be the one that'll, come into your house in the middle of the night and choke you out. Like the frickin' Night Stalker. That's what they're doing. Child welfare advocates worry that the measures represent a coordinated push to scale back hard-won protections for minors. So can you just think about that sentence? Child welfare advocates. Shouldn't we all be child welfare advocates? Now, these are the fake-ass child welfare advocates who say Oh, what about the children when a family with a trans child wants to get their child their gender affirming care? Oh, the children. But not about, the children going into these nightmare slaughterhouses, cleaning razor sharp saws. And I'm not making it up. This is what happened. Okay. Well, this is why, you don't vote Republican. You want to have a decent civilization that you can be proud of, that protects people, that, you know what I mean? It's just like, isn't that what it's all about? Why form this giant club called the American people, right? Why? What's the point? I mean, there's supposed to be some benefits to being an American, right? Like, that's what the government is there for. We form government, we band together, we say, these are the rules of our club. And we're going to be a club that, is diverse. We want everybody in this club, and we would like us, to all kind of come to agreement. So we're going to vote on things in our communities, and because we're going to have to live together. And in our club, it's going to, because we want to have a club that's kind of good. We want to send kids to school. We want clean streets. We want safe streets. We're going to pay for things. And if you're sick, you go to a doctor, because, we're in this club. We're in this together. Oh, man, no. That's too much. What is the point of a Republican government? Anyway, what do they bring to the table, I wonder? Nothing but a performance. That's it. I'm just looking at the time. Oh my God, we're going to lose the Progressive Voices community in a minute. If you can, become a patron at patreon.com/TaraDevil. And that would really help, me emotionally, spiritually, maybe even sexually. No, I'm only kidding. Help keep the show going and growing. I was just thinking about so many things. Well, the Republican performance art we were talking about yesterday, Vivek Ramaswamy, who is a performance artist. And he was told not to play Eminem's music. Okay, well, if you want to learn more about this, Progressive Voices, come on over to youtube.com/C for channel/Tarabuster. I will be co-hosting the Mike Malloy Show on Monday and Tuesday with Robin Kincaid. So check that out while Mike is taking off and taking Molly back to college, all right? But we will win. Remember that. We're on the right side of history. We're on the right side of decency, dignity, democracy, humanity. We stick together, we win. Become a patron at patreon.com/TaraDevil, and I'll see you soon. All right. Not too bad. How's everybody doing? How is everybody doing on the chat? I just finished my ginger ale. I'm feeling okay now. Yeah, Ramaswamy is one slick fascist, says Winston on the chat. You got it. So, I don't know if you saw that Eminem said that he, in the long list of musicians who tell Republicans to stop using their music, Eminem, I think he's told them before, though. They've used his music before, and he's had to say, like I say to my cats when they do something I don't like them to do. I go, They know that noise. So that's what you got to do to the right wingers. You're like, So Eminem told Vivek Ramaswamy to stop embarrassing himself with his by rapping. In fact, oh God, I can't take this guy. I don't really want to go off on a whole other tangent about him because we were talking about him yesterday, but I have this clip of Ramaswamy rapping, and we have to watch it. It's really it's a cringe-worthy clip. If I can freaking find it. I have so many clips. That's why I need a producer. Become a patron. Ramaswamy. Oh, and while I look up him, the actual rap. This is Andrea Mitchell asking him about it, and he's got balls, baby.
Hello, I'm Vivek, and I want to ask you, of all the Democratic candidates out there...
Oh, wait. Is this... Wait, hold on. It's at the end.
It's not what I've said, but you can play Nikki Haley's lies.
You said we...
What I said, at which point we will... Candidate, Andrea. I'm the only presidential candidate who has said...
Oh, shut up.
You need friends.
Shut up.
When Russia has a larger nuclear stockpile and super EMP capabilities and hypersonic missile capabilities ahead of...
Oh, goodbye. Where is
to have another conversation about how you would end the Russian and Chinese partnership, which goes well beyond Ukraine and goes into a deep-rooted partnership. But let me ask you finally about Eminem. They've sent you a cease and desist through the music licensing company to stop using Lose Yourself on the Trail. Have you agreed to move on?
Yeah, look, I think that I'll respect his wishes, but I would just say, will the real Slim Shady please stand up? Eminem in his rise used to be a guy who actually stood up to the establishment and said the things that the establishment didn't want him to say.
God.
I think the fact that my political viewpoints may differ from his, I think people change over the course of their lives. But I have hope for him that he will one day rediscover the renegade that made him great, and I'm rooting for that success in his life.
Wow. You see, what a charlatan he is. He really does remind me of Ted Bundy. I don't know about you. I've seen Ted Bundy. All you gotta do is watch Ted Bundy representing himself. It's pretty interesting if you go on YouTube and you just, knowing what a filthy, disgusting waste of life he is, and this horrible, gross person, who shouldn't have never been born. The world would have been better off. And he's up there. I mean, they remind me of Ted Bundy in a lot of ways. The sociopathy, the dead eyes, the fake smile, the superficial charm, the selfishness, the extreme selfishness beyond these. And here's the other thing. If Ted Bundy didn't go into his hobby of murdering women, he would have been a Republican, politician, because he was working for the governor of Washington at the time. I think I can't remember who exactly, but he was working for the the Republican Party. And he just reminds me of him. When he was proclaiming his innocence, how he would phrase things, and smiling all the time, and that's why there were some people that actually believed, this guy could not have been the psychopath that he is. And Will the real, the real Slim Shady stand up? He stood up to the establishment. You are the establishment. He's a farmer bro who made money in with Martin Shkreli. If there's nothing more establishment, I mean, I would like to know what it is. I will respect his wish. I mean, everything, the enunciation, the over-enunciation, there's nothing sincere about him. And that's why he really is like Ted Bundy. I should do a video or something. I don't know. Find some videos of Ted Bundy and, compare them. Let's see. Ted Bundy, Republican. Because he gets interviewed and they're like, and the media was, would follow him because he was proclaiming his innocence, and he's like making himself to be a victim. And that's the other thing that he reminds me of the Republicans, because he was the way he would proclaim himself to be the real victim here, how he was targeted and the media was after him, and they had already decided he was guilty and it was all fake. It's the same shit. It's the same shtick. I guess it's got to be this. It's the sociopath shuffle or something. So, and Vivek, I mean, he gives me the same creeps because he's so full of shit. He is such a fraud, and they will vote for him. They love this guy. There's nothing to him. There's absolutely nothing. He's the emptiest of suits, the empty smile, the dead eyes, the nothing, the fast talking shtick of that will be. I mean, in the future when they look back and they review all of his statements on climate change and things like that, he's gonna be revealed as the fraud that he is. It's going to be, they will assess him as the sociopath, the narcissist, the fraud, the fake that he is. The performance artist. Well, here he is. I found it. Here he is rapping Eminem. Oh my God. Cringe. Back to the lab again, yo, it's all rhapsody. Better go capture this moment and hope it all can lose yourself in the music. And why are they cheering? This is the other thing that it gets me with these Republicans. They're always cheering for these idiots. Whee! Really? That's a we? Keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. The whole crowd. Oh, he's so cool. Everybody's joking now. The clock's run out. Time's up. Over. Plow. Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes gravity. So mad, but he won't give up. Daddy, he goes back to these notes. It's all matter. He goes back to these notes. He goes back to these notes. He goes back to these notes. He goes back to this mobile home. That's when it's back to the lab again. Yo, it's all rap. Oh my God. Better go capture this moment and hope it all can lose yourself in the music. It's embarrassing. Yes. The old whites. I think that's rap, Jim says. It's so true. And they're all like, whee! Look at all these white people, these old white crackers. He's old rabbity rope, he old oddity rope, and old oddity rope. You better lose yourself. Look at this lady over here in the corner. She's like looking at her fucking watch. Whee! You're a rapper. Look at her. He's rapping. This is so multicultural. I wasn't informed that there would be many cultures here. I didn't know. Look at me. I'm learning about different cultures, different experiences. Okay. Oh, thank you, Matt, for your super chat. Vivek Rosanna Dana has undoubtedly tortured animals when he was young. You're right. You are right. Because he reminds me of, he's a murderer. Just kidding. I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised. He's a serial murderer. He is Ted Bundy. If Ted Bundy had controlled his urge to murder, and you know it. Because I've, in all these documentaries I've seen about Ted Bundy, they talk about how, if you were friends with Ted Bundy, in fact, he had some girls or women, whatever, that he went out with, and, they never knew. Some of them never knew. When he was in Utah, and he joined the Mormon church, and they had all of these cards they sent him that he was being picked on by the big bad government. Stay strong, we're with you. And he would have dinner parties, and the guy that was being interviewed said that he was a great cook. And that all the girls loved him. He had a nice smile. He had that smile and those dead eyes. And, yeah, whatever. And look at all these white people thinking that they're seeing rap. And why is he even doing that? They're playing Eminem's song, and he just takes a mic and starts rapping along with it, and all of the jerk offs standing around are impressed with it.
Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes gravity. So never.
Why? Did anybody ask? It's look at me. Look at me. And that lady behind. What? She's like, what is he doing? Oh, he's so impressive, isn't he? They're so impressive, these young fascists nowadays. He's not really rocking the Ernst Röhm look, but he's got that Ted Bundy thing down. Oh, and by the way, the Nazi documentary I couldn't remember yesterday, which is great. It's probably one of the best series of It's a Nazi. It's a Nazi. That's not the way to say it. A Nazi documentary. It's a documentary on Nazis, and it's great. It's called The Abyss. You should watch it. It's on YouTube. But anyway, Republicans they're racist. They can't help it. And I have some more receipts to prove it. For example, I don't know if you saw that these filthy fascists on Fox News are really I couldn't even believe it when I heard it, that they are they're saying that Trump has found a new you probably heard it because it's a couple of days ago, but that they were fawning over Trump's mugshot, saying that he has finally broken into the African American vote with his with his mugshot. You see, because what? Because obviously people with darker pigment are impressed with criminals. They like criminals because I guess it takes one to know one. Is that what they're saying? Right? This really got me.
But the Democrats' Soviet-style tactics have alienated their most loyal voting bloc. The mugshot has breathed new life into the Trump campaign and broadened his appeal to black Americans.
What?
Over the weekend, with the help of mugshot merchandise, the Trump campaign raked in over $7 million.
Wow.
Today, my garbage man told me he's buying mugshot T-shirts for everyone he knows this.
He's buying mugshot. I cut it off there. I'm sorry. By accident, I should say. He's buying mugshot T-shirts for everyone. His garbage man. I can't take it. They don't realize. Do they? Do they realize how racist they are? And then they act like they're so indignant when they're sick of being called racists.
Over the weekend, with the help of mugshot merchandise, the Trump campaign raked in over $7 million.
Wow.
Today, my garbage man told me he's buying mugshot T-shirts for everyone he knows this. The Democrats' Soviet-style tactics.
Soviet-style taxes for everyone. So he wants us to believe he talks to his garbage man, and that's the only black person he would ever talk to, I guess, or knows. He doesn't know any other black people in life, right? My garbage man told me he loves the mugshot. He's buying mugshot T-shirts for everyone he knows. So all these rubes, these crackers, these Nazis, these KKK, David Duke lovers, the Nick Fuentes, all what's left of the Proud Pricks, that they are sitting around thinking that this Christmas, black families all over America are going to be opening up gifts of Trump's mugshot, Trump's face on merchandise. And we're all supposed to be impressed? Or they're supposed to be impressed, which they even realize how racist that is? And, it's just another example of Republicans being racist and not being able to help it. They cannot help it. And that's why they're all like, oh, they just call us racist for no reason. It's not just the racism that comes out of your mouth. I mean, it's worse than that. Because they take that racism and then they vote for people like the con man. And then they enact policies that are racist. It's not just that they're racist in their hearts, because we could give a shit if that was the case. Just go away. But they're inflicting it on society. They're bringing their sickness into society. And of course, look at this picture, though. Just an aside, covering for the Bidens. There's who's the sucker who works in the graphics department that had to put this graphic together of Merrick Garland with his hand up. No, don't come after Joe. Who cares? Oh, and remember the other day I told you about that guy, or I play the game, this stupid Game of Thrones game, and there's a couple of Trumpanzees on there that can't behave. They don't know how to behave themselves. They're constantly posting things, and one of these these idiots actually direct messaged me, because that's who they are. They're like, oh, your boy Hunter or something. Like, I don't give a shit, And I'm like, I said, leave me alone. Like, I don't know you. They can't help it. They're trolls in real life. That's it. Oh, your boy Hunter covering for the Bidens. But this is who they are. And then they're like, one of the idiots on the Trumpanzees on the chat was like, oh, I got a warning. So apparently the owners of the game, Warner Brothers, are like, gave him a warning that he was going to be banned. Probably because he doesn't know how to behave, And then he's like, oh, somebody's feelings got hurt. Well, what did you say? What did you say? You see, like, they don't know how to act. Who did you harass with your stupidity? All right, Junior, come on. Everybody is starting to act up now. Okay, so the show. We still got a show. We got 14 minutes. Stop. Get down. Get down. Shit. I should have put him in the room, too. I had to separate, though. I had to separate the kids tonight. It was getting weird. Ugh. I don't even know. Oh, you know what? This show is all over the place. I blame myself for that, really. I feel like I have to take some responsibility for that. But so because now I'm thinking, I was talking about unions, and I went completely off the rails down a different road that I didn't expect to go down. And I should get back there somehow. So let's see. Here's some recent victories just for Labor Day. Organized labor has won 30 victories for workers' rights over the years, including putting an end to child labor until Republicans are bringing it back slowly. So this is the problem. Why you do not vote for them. We have the labor movement won 10 to 16-hour work days. Wait. And sorry. And yes. The organized labor has won 30 victories for workers' rights over the years, including putting an end to child labor, 10 to 16-hour work days. And that was the norm. You see, before people fought, bled, and died. They literally put their bodies on the line, and some put their bodies in the ground for the 8-hour workday. And unsafe working conditions. The end to unsafe working conditions. Key events in labor history include the Battle of Cripple Creek, the 1909 McKees Reich, Pennsylvania strike, and the Low Mill women organizing, going on strike, and mobilizing in politics. So, recent union organizing wins have made positive difference in the working lives of people such as the WGA, and BGE winning their first, BDG winning their first contract. In 2022, there was a rare burst of union momentum, producing some major victories, including workers voting in favor of unionizing in 72% of union elections held. That's incredible. In spite of all the union bashing that we've had to endure since Reagan trickled on our legs and told us, peed on our legs and told us it was trickling. Of the 1,249 union elections held in 2022 alone, 72% voted in favor of unionizing. That's incredible. And that's good news. So, let's see. Here's some of the victories. 30 victories for workers' rights, won over the years. The shoemakers, and this is in 1794, shoemakers organized America's first union. The rise of the journeyman societies in 1794 led to the creation of the Federal Society of Journeymen Cordwainers of Philadelphia, which worked to protect wages of shoemakers who toiled in a large and profitable industry. The society was the first true union and can be considered the genesis of the American labor movement. I didn't know that. In 1842, a court, well, this is the Commonwealth versus Hunt, legalized unions in America in 1842. That's interesting. In 1866, the National Labor Union is created. The end of slavery emboldened laborers around the country to capitalize on the national sentiment and pursue better conditions for themselves. A year after the Civil War, the formation of the National Labor Union represented the first nationally organized workers' rights group. That's, I mean, isn't it a shame? We should have that today. The organization's efforts went a long way to raising awareness, but the group dissolved in 1873, and soon after a series of violent strikes and successful corporate anti-labor campaigns compelled much of America to sour on the labor movement. But then, of course, then you have the Gilded Age and all that, and all these robber barons treating people like hosts from which to suck profit and discard, and that's what happened. In 1882, the first Labor Day parade marks a movement. In 1882, New York City hosted the country's first Labor Day parade. 10,000 workers marched in what is now an annual event. Interesting. See that? 1882. Although the parade, of course, did not directly improve working conditions, the movement signified a psychological victory for labor and indicated a shift in public opinion that would ultimately lead to the rise of the progressive era in the 20th century. Thank God for that. And, of course, the famous uprising of the 20,000 in 1909, the women's rights movement and the labor movement converged in what became known as the uprising of the 20,000. What do I have, dyslexia now all of a sudden? And the uprising of the 20,000, a strike launched by sweatshop laborers known as the shirtwaist workers, who were mostly young immigrant women. The strikers protested low wages, long hours, and appalling conditions, especially the frequent and intentional locking of doors, which we know what happened there. The fire escapes to prevent workers from leaving and even taking breaks. The uprising secured the support of the powerful and well-heeled Women's Trade Union League, and by 1910, most of the protesters' employers agreed to sign union contracts, except, which leads us to, in 1911, the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory Fire, which was the deadliest industrial disaster in New York City history, changed the course of the labor movement when the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory Fire killed 146 sweatshop workers, mostly women. Although the owners and management staff escaped unharmed, the workers found themselves in a death trap of locked doors. blocked fire escapes and highly flammable material, like the kind the 1909 protesters had warned about. And in fact, the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory that is now a landmark in New York City, was this particular factory did not adopt the changes that came about because of the uprising of the 20,000, which they certainly paid a heavy price, the ultimate price, some. Although the fire itself, of course, was hardly a victory for labor, the death of the workers was not in vain. It galvanized the previously scattered and frequently infighting labor movement to unify, and stoked public outrage and demand for change. So there you go. In 1913, and directly as a result of the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire, the Department of Labor is formed. The efforts of generations of labor activists were realized, at least in part, when President William Howard Taft signed the law creating the U.S. Department of Labor, which, of course, right-wingers are constantly attacking and trying to put, their own people who hate the Department of Labor to get in there and destroy it from the inside, as they do. The labor movement now has had representation in a cabinet-level agency. So there you go. In 1916, to me, this is interesting. I don't know about you. We only have 3 minutes, so this is Labor Day here. It's coming here. It's coming here, okay? Labor Day. In 1916, the Keating-Owen Act briefly curtails child labor until Sarah Huckabee Sanders brings it back. No, I'm just kidding. But in 1916, by the turn of the 20th century, I have dyslexia tonight. By the turn of the 20th century, 2 million children were laboring on farms, on city streets, in mills, in mines, in factories, and in stores. The work of social reformers and the work of social reformers and a nationwide campaign by National Child Labor Committee photographer William H. Hine to chronicle and publicize the abuses. Chronicleize is like chronicle and publicize the abuses, led to calls for reform. In 1916, the Keating-Owen Act limited the number of hours children would work and prohibited interstate sale of merchandise produced by child labor. But the filthy fascist Supreme Court ruled the act unconstitutional just 9 months later. You see, this is where we are today with this filthy fascist Supreme Court. That's Ted Cruz sucking on a binky. And here's some of the photos that were taken that changed public hearts and minds. And of course, that's why Republicans want to continue to limit our exposure and our understanding of each other. One of the in fact, this is not about, it's almost related. I'm of the belief that the way, animal rights and human rights are, of course, intertwined. And my feelings about that. So, but what was I saying? Whatever. The music is here. Damn it. We're not going to stop, though. We will never stop. Well, I'll finish this. I'll finish this in a minute. We will win. We're on the right side of history. Decency, dignity, democracy, humanity. Oh, yeah, I know what I was going to say. Republicans, their answer to the abuse in factory farms was to make it illegal to film or photograph factory farms. You see what I'm saying? We stick together, we win. Happy Labor Day. I'll see you soon. Become a patron, damn it. Right? So their response to the abuse that was going on, that disgusted people, that was going on in factory farms, was to make it illegal to photograph or videotape what was going on in the factory farms. That's the doesn't that say it all about right-wingers? Incredible. So here's some of the photographs. Well, I just want to look at these photographs, and then we'll call it a night, because I gotta lay down. I got a headache. Look at this poor girl, right? I mean, these are human beings that lived. It's us. They seem so distant, right? It seems so unreal. But these are human. And here's a kid with no shoes. Wow. Western Union messengers. Kids. What's that's Sarah Huckabee Sanders. This is what the Sarah Huckabee Sanders way. Textile mill workers, all children. Spinners, they had those little fingers. Not that they wouldn't lose a couple now and then, but how many fingers do you really need? $11 old, picking cotton. It totes a 50-pound sack. 11 years old. Picks 75 to 125 pounds of cotton a day and totes 50 pounds of it when a sack gets filled. No, I don't like it very much, she says. 1916. Jesus. Look at this kid here. I wonder how long he lived. Coming out of the coal mine. A greaser on the tipple at the Bessie mine. He said he was 14, but it is doubtful. He carries 2 pails of grease. He's probably younger. He's probably 10, 11, and is often in danger of being run over by coal cars. Photographed in December of 1910. Jesus, Christmas in hell. 10 cents a day. What? Not 10 cents. Wait. Minnie Carpenter in November of 1908. Minnie makes 50 cents for a 10-hour day as a spinner at a mill. Pipe smoking messenger boy who said he was 15. Oh, it's so quaint, the good old days, as Republicans will call it. The boys putting up the pins at the arcade. A young driver at the Brown Mine. Driving pack animals for 1 year, working from 7 a.m. to 5:30. The device attached to his cap is an oil wick lamp, which would be lit when he was working in the mine tunnels. Look at this shit. You see, the notion of childhood is a liberal invention. It's a progressive invention. the notion of childhood as a time where children should be invested in and cultivated to become functioning and well-rounded adults. That's a progressive invention. Prove me wrong. We're looking at it. Fire, fire. I want to make the fire. An Italian boy on Salem Street on Saturday morning offering to make fires for Jewish people on their Sabbath in Boston. Poor things, right? Jeez. And then, all these right-wingers, masters of the universe, walked by without even blinking. That's just the way it is, right? An injured mill worker, injured while working in the Sanders spinning mill. A piece of machinery fell on his foot, mashing his toe. This caused him to fall into a spinning machine, and his hand went into it. An unprotected gear, crushing and tearing out 2 fingers. He told the investigating attorney that he was 11 when it happened, and his younger brother worked in the mill several months before the accident. Their father, R.L. Newsom, tried to compromise with the company when he found out the boy would receive money and not the parents. Their mother tried to blame the boys for getting jobs on their own, but she let them work several months. Their aunt said, "Now he's just got to where he could be of some help to his ma, and then this happens, and he can't never work no more like he oughta." Well, there you go. That's America. That's the kind of America, because where you don't read or go to school or learn those liberal books, those book learning, flushing and wiping and all that liberal stuff that you do. All right. Rolling cigarettes. All right. Anyway. Listen, guys. There you go. Yep. Winston on the chat. Sarah Huckabee Sanders is just fine with this. Well, it teaches them the responsibility. Training wages. Thank you, Covert White Rabbit. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you don't, Francis will come to your house and pee on your couch. That's right. He told me. Remember, we stick together, we win. We do. Thank you. Thank you so much for saying that, Covert White Rabbit. It means a lot. And for your super chat. Oh, man. Noon hour at the Ewan Breaker, Pennsylvania Coal Company. 1911. I wonder how many of these young boys lived until their middle age. Working in the coal mine. Barefoot, newsy. Look at this dude behind him with the briefcase. A 10-year-old spinner takes a momentary glimpse of the outside world. She had been working there for more than a year. What a world. What a freaking world. But this is conservative dreamland. You understand? This really is. This is the good old days. Jesus. Mary and Joseph. All right, that's the end of the That's the end of the photographies. All right, guys, listen. We will win. And we're not off on Monday, by the way. Mike Malloy he's gonna be off. He's taking the day off, and Robin Kincaid and I are gonna fill in for the Mike Malloy show. So that'll be nice. If you can, hang out, listen. If you're, whatever. It is Labor Day, but whatever. You're just listening to a radio show. And we'll also be filling in for Tuesday as well. And I appreciate that. And you can listen to Mike on as a podcast at his website, MikeMalloy.com. Become a member and a patron of me, if you can. And and also on Progressive Voices at 9 p.m. All right, guys, listen. I gotta go. I'm tired. I didn't have a lot of sleep last night. And I've been very tired all day, and that's why I didn't drink coffee tonight. So I feel like I have a migraine. I was a little nauseous. Whatever. Who cares? My feet stink. I got corns. My bunions are acting up. My back hurts. I got gas. I need to lay down. Oh, all right. And I need to let Booty and Ray out of detention. But we will win. Thank you for the show. Thank you, Jim, for hanging out. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jim, for the super chat, and Matt for the super chat, and Covert White Rabbit. And thank you all, patrons, keeping me going. And we are on. Take a COVID test? Maybe. I do have some. It's coming back. It's back on the upswing. I will take it. I'll take it tomorrow. I'm tired. I don't think I have it. It's not in my lungs. I just feel tired. Well, maybe that's part of it. It's starting. I just feel run down. All right. I was thinking of getting the booster. I will get it, but I'm saying that I was thinking, I should get it, now. All right, guys. We will win. We're on the right side of history. We are. If those pictures don't tell us we are, you need to review them again. That's right, Junior. We're on the right side of decency, dignity, democracy, humanity. Thank you so much for hanging out tonight, guys. I love you all. I really do. My name is Tara Devlin, and I'll see you soon. Hope maybe Monday. Maybe you won't see me, you hear me, but I will see you, because I watch, because I could see everybody that listens. So, All right, I'm only kidding. I'll see you soon.